Hi, I'm Jessica with Canine Perspective, and a very common question that we get is, do we use positive reinforcement or do we incorporate positive reinforcement? So, for our puppies under 6 months, we absolutely do use positive reinforcement with clicker training, gentle leader, really basic stuff, uh, body mechanics, shaping behavior, sit down, place, come, name recognition, rewarding just everything that we like, even if it's like cutesy stuff like sit pretty or whatever. We 100% do use positive reinforcement for our puppies under 6 months, crate training, potty training, all that stuff, right? Once a dog or puppy is 6 months and older, I do strictly remote collar training, okay? For some cases, we might start the puppy or dog on prong collar for a week or two, and then transition them into remote collar if they're just too sensitive. And we'll pair food there just to start getting them acclimated to pressure. That pressure turns off, and that when it does turn off, that there's a positive, all that stuff. So the reason why we don't use a whole ton of positive reinforcement with dogs over 6 months is it tends to be too much for the dog owner. Okay, because one, the dog owner is probably already under stress because they're using e-collar and they're like, oh my God, like, e-collar, this is my last resort, this is really bad or whatever. Like they just have this negative connotation. So they already tend to be stressed or nervous about using the e-collar as it is, or they don't want to screw up. So giving an owner, a leash, e-collar, they have their dog, maybe their dog has behavioral issues like leash reactivity, a clicker, a bag of treats, the treats, right? Body language, the environment. Like now we got all these things that are adding up, and it's making it a bit too complicated for the average dog owner to decipher, okay? Now, in some cases, like for example, if we're doing any kind of socialization stuff, either dog, not with dog to dog, but dog to human or dog to child, we will absolutely use positive reinforcement, right? So we have our correctional tool if the dog growls or acts out or what have you, and then we have obviously our positive, right? So if we're doing a touch exercise and the dog is blowing up, we're going to correct them. We're not going to worry about reward. But then once we get them to the point where they'll take the touch without blowing up, then the reward has meaning. Then the dog goes, okay, I avoid the consequence and I get something good. And when we train, we actually, when we're training with our older dogs or like socialization type stuff, we use really high value stuff. Chicken, turkey, blowing, hot dog, sausage, pepperoni. I don't do dog treats when it comes to those exercises because I want the dog to look forward to these things. I want the dog to see, oh, when a human touches me, if I act out, there will be a correction. But if I don't act out, nothing happens, and I get this really good positive reward, and I only get it in these contexts. With our puppies under 6 months, when we're training them, we do as much as possible just their kibbles during their mealtime. And then maybe upgrade to a couple of treats or higher level treats. I don't, we just gotta be careful, tummy issues and stuff like that as they're maturing. But most of the time with puppies, we try to use the kibble as much as possible, okay? So it just depends on what we're working on. So yes, we do use positive reinforcement. I just don't rely on positive reinforcement to create reliable results, okay? In some cases, if we have a dog that is, lacks confidence or like isn't doing too good with pressure, adding food will actually help them get over the pressure. So we'll do it then. It's very, very rare. Most dogs, we can just work them right through it. And eventually in time, once the dog starts to get more freedoms, they start to be off leash, they start to go out more walks and all that stuff. They start to get over everything because they start to realize like this tool, this e-collar, means I get to go outside and like live my life and have fun and all that stuff. So the reward is actually just more experiences, more exposure to the outside world. In other cases, we get clients that come from previous trainers that may have used positive reinforcement, stuff like that. So they'll show up with their bag of treats and everything like that. I'll tell them in the beginning, forget about that for now. We're gonna do strictly remote collar. So all that we're worried about is the leash, the dog, and e-collar, and maybe the environment, right? So it just makes it simpler, removes a lot of things, a lot of options for the owner to have to think about. And then later on, once the owner's got a good grasp on how the e-collar works, then I'll tell them, well, now if you'd like, you can use the treats. More often than not, people are like, actually, I don't need them because my dog's doing great with just what we have here. So the food doesn't impact the e-collar training. Obviously, with puppies and gentle leader stuff, we need to use food. But other than that, when we're using remote collar, it's not necessary and doesn't really there's no guarantee like it's going to help. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Just depends on what we're working on. Okay. So when it comes to do we use positive reinforcement, the answer is yes for our puppies under 6 months, and then for our dogs older than 6 months, it's if needed. Okay. So I'm Jesse with Camp Perspective. Thank you for watching.